Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. Good morning, I'm John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We depropagandize the mainstream media. We also make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. Yours and mine. Let's compare. Let's debate. There was interesting news this morning. Not just interesting, but kind of amazing. There was a special report from ABC News, and we bring that to you now here on the Wells Report. Take a look at this.
That Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle has resigned her post. It comes 24 hours after her blistering hearing in front of the House Oversight Committee investigating the attempted assassination of Donald Trump during his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. During that contentious hearing, lawmakers from both parties called on her to resign, signaling frustration with her refusal to directly answer questions, citing the ongoing investigation into the shooting. Director Cheadle accepting full responsibility, calling it the agency's most significant operational failure in decades, and acknowledging, quote, on June 13th, we failed. Cheadle forcefully pushed back against accusations that the Secret Service had denied requests for additional security at that rally. She also revealed a local SWAT team spotted gunman Thomas Crooks on the roof of that warehouse approximately 18 minutes before Trump took the stage, adding the Secret Service was alerted between 2 to 5 times about a suspicious person before that first shot was even fired. Cheadle claiming word of a possible threat was never given to the Secret Service. If it had, Donald Trump's security would not have allowed him to take the stage. Cheadle saying Crooks wasn't considered a threat until just seconds before that shooting. Let's get right to ABC Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas. Pierre, during that blistering hearing yesterday, several times your interview with Cheadle was cited. Does this surprise you that she is stepping down?
Well, as late as last night, Phil, she was maintaining that she would not step down, that she felt she was in the best position to carry on the mission of the Secret Service. But clearly overnight, after seeing that she had become a distraction to the Secret Service after that, as you said, blistering hearing, it was one of the most intense grilling I've ever seen a public official go through, in which Democrats and Republicans piled on with question after question. For some reason, she simply chose not to answer some of the specifics that she had the details with. She would not do it. Democrats and Republicans, again, calling on her to step down, to say if she didn't step down, that she should be fired. Knowing that overnight, clearly she thought long and hard about it. And this statement that we have that was read to the workforce sums it up. In light of recent events, it is with a heavy heart that I've made the difficult decision to step down as your director. But I think the key, again, was she was not simply able to give a clear-cut answer to the question that everyone has been focused on. Why was there not Secret Service or law enforcement personnel on top of the roof? Why was there not law enforcement personnel stationed around that building that had a clear line of sight directly to the former president? Why was there not law enforcement personnel around the building to make sure no one could get to the top of the roof? The agency was not able to answer that question clearly. Law enforcement and state and law enforcement officials were clearly not in position to do the job they need to do. And Phil, I think the key thing is she talked about the notion that there were operational plans discussed, but she would not identify the people at the Secret Service who were responsible for putting that plan in place. Given that, law enforcement officials said you're stonewalling. Congressional figures were very upset with her, and she had no room no room, no sympathy. I've never seen a hearing quite like we saw yesterday.
Yeah, and Pierre, at one point, some frustrated lawmaker actually said, you gave the ABC News reporter more answers than you're giving us. It just seemed like whether she was prepared or not prepared, she could have told lawmakers, hey, this is an active investigation. I can't give these details, but she couldn't even do that yesterday, Pierre.
Phil, here's a key thing. We know for a fact that the FBI and the Secret Service briefed members of Congress last week with a TikTok, blow by blow, about what they knew at this moment in terms of what happened in terms of the assassination attempt. Why she did not give that information that they gave to Congress behind closed doors more openly will be a question that's pondered, and it's the reason why she's no longer in office today.
That was the way ABC News discussed the sudden resignation of Kimberly Cheatle, former Secret Service director. And in case you missed it, we had some live testimony from the committee and Kimberly Cheatle. I say testimony loosely because Kimberly Cheatle didn't offer much. And this was a collection of lowlights. We want to thank PBS for this report.
Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle testified before the House Oversight Committee today. Lawmakers from both parties were visibly angry with her testimony. It comes as calls for her resignation grow and the investigations into the agency multiply. Nick Schifrin has our report.
Committee on Oversight and Accountability will come to order.
During a 4.5-hour bruising bipartisan blow-up,
cut corners when it came to protecting one of the most important individuals, most well-known individuals on the planet.
That is not my question, and now I think you're evading the answer.
Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle was chastened but tight-lipped, despite demands from both parties for her resignation.
I believe, Director Cheatle, that you should resign.
Because Donald Trump is alive, and thank God he is, you look incompetent. If Donald Trump had been killed, you would have looked culpable.
And that's a little bit.
It's been 9 days since what Cheatle called the Secret Service's most significant failure in more than 40 years. Former President Donald Trump, his ear pierced by bullets fired from a military-style rifle from just 450 feet away.
Right here, right on the road.
Cheatle confirmed local law enforcement photographed the shooter 18 minutes before Trump began, but the Secret Service initially identified him only as suspicious rather than a threat. Illinois Democrat Raja Krishnamurthy.
That doesn't look like suspicious behavior. That looks like threatening behavior to me. And the rally wasn't paused at that point either, correct?
I can tell you, as I stated earlier, sir, that the moment that the shift surrounding the president were aware of an actual threat.
That's a threat right there. The guy's on the roof and everybody's yelling at him.
Cheatle confirmed that the shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, used a drone to surveil part of the site and brought explosives and a detonator. She also said she apologized to former President Trump and that the buck stops with her.
On July 13th, we failed. As a director of the United States Secret Service, I take full responsibility for any security lapse of our agency.
But she declined to answer many questions because of multiple ongoing investigations, including how exactly Crooks got on the roof with a direct line of sight of Trump and killed Corey Comparator while he shielded his family. Arizona Republican Andy Biggs.
What did they determine was going to be the event perimeters?
Again, I don't want to speak to specifics of the event.
Okay, this is a specific.
I understand.
This is a specific that you ought to know. As someone who said the buck stops with me, I'm going to stay in my job. I'm going to give the answers to the American people, and I know what happened, except for you're not going to tell us. And you're not going to tell the American people.
She also refused to answer questions about a topic multiple Democrats raised: Crooks' legal access to an AR-15 rifle and to the site. New Mexico Democrat Melanie Stansberry.
How did a 20-year-old young man with access to a military-style weapon actually bring it onto an unsecured perimeter who for days had been planning a mass shooting event? And I think that, Madam Director, with all due respect, the answers that we've received here in this hearing today are completely unsatisfactory.
Cheadle insisted the Secret Service approved Trump campaign requests for security at the rally, but she refused to say whether the Secret Service rejected previous requests for additional security, as confirmed by her spokesman this weekend and highlighted by Ohio Republican and Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan.
Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
Neither, sir, and I appreciate the question.
Well, what were you doing? Because those statements don't jive.
Today, the Secret Service agents who defended Trump by risking their own lives were called heroes. Their boss left the hearing as the villain.
Brilliant writing from PBS. Excellent report. Kimberly Cheadle has resigned from her office, and indeed, she should have. She should have long before this testimony. U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle resigned today in the wake of mounting pressure following the assassination attempt on former President Trump. This has been confirmed by Fox News. Fox News reviewed the letter Cheadle sent to U.S. Secret Service Tuesday morning, today, just after taking a bipartisan raking over the coals during testimony before the House Oversight Committee. Over a week after a would-be assassin Thomas Crooks attempted to take the life of President Trump at his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. To the men and women of the Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders and financial infrastructure. On July 13th, we fell short of that mission. Cheadle said the scrutiny over the last week has been intense, will continue to remain so as our operational tempo increases. Biden, who did not fire Cheadle in the 10 days since the shooting, said he is grateful to Director Cheadle for her decades of public service, that he will appoint a new director soon. As a leader, it takes honor, courage, and incredible integrity to take full responsibility for an organization tasked with one of the most challenging jobs in public service. We all know that what happened that day can never happen again as we move forward. I wish Kim all the best. Cheadle said, though, that the incident does not define us. Quote, "We remain an organization based on integrity, staffed by individuals of exceptional dedication and talent." Adding, the agency will move forward with our investigatory and protective mission in a steadfast manner. We do not retreat from challenge. However, I do not want my calls for resignation to be a distraction from the great work each and every one of you do toward our vital mission. Cheadle said that when she got the call asking whether she would return to the Secret Service after her brief retirement from the agency, she said she did not hesitate. Quote, "I love this agency, our mission, and the great men and woken, that would be women, who sacrifice so much every day," she wrote. "I have and always will put the needs of this agency first. In light of recent events, it is with a heavy heart I've made the difficult decision to step down as your director." Cheadle then reflected on her career, reminding that she served as special agent for 27 years, securing events for then First Lady Hillary Clinton, worked as a supervisor on then Vice President Dick Cheney's detail, supervised then Vice President Biden's detail, lead RTC, and more, including overseeing the agency's protective mission under the Trump administration as AD-OPO. As I stated in the hearing yesterday, all of you are worthy of trust and confidence. You deserve the nation's support in carrying out our critical mission. Cheadle said, "One of my favorite things about this workforce is the men and women who are fiercely committed to our mission. Thank you for all that you do and will continue to do for our great nation." Signing the letter KAC. And so, Kimberly Cheadle, having overseen what is perhaps the greatest failure in the Secret Service's history, with the possible exception of the Kennedy assassination, the successful one, has stepped away. Will this make the Secret Service better? Will there be a change of ideology, and indeed mission focus? We will see. Is President Biden the guy that should appoint her successor? What do you think about all of this? Let me know. 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. This is The Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. On the chat room, first of all, got to say hi to Command Chief Master Sergeant Max Guadiano. Max, always a pleasure to have you here. It's great to see you, Chief. Let's see, Buddy McBride. Does Cheadle continue to work for the Secret Service, or does she move to the private sector? She moves to the private sector. She's finished in government service. Dr. Clark. Dr. Clark's store, and apparently this is from his official account or her official account, delaying stepping down only served to assuage suspicion. To resign right away would have been a bigger admission. Gary says, difficult decision was either resign or get fired. Yeah, when you have bipartisan support for your demise, your professional demise, yeah, you're not going to be employed for very long. Joining us is Arlen from Austin, Texas. Arlen, welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
Hey, how are you, JD?
I'm doing just fine, Arlen. What's up?
Well, the one question, the burning question that remains in my mind is, what about John Wills? What happened to him, and is he going to remain unemployed or unemployable by the Secret Service? He is the only one on the ground who did the right thing in that situation, other than the immediate personal protection detail that removed Trump from the stage. What becomes of him? Although he ignored a direct order to not engage, according to other news outlets, he did the right thing. And in my personal opinion, as you and I both know very well, that if an order appears to be unlawful or
Right.
immoral,
Right.
you take action opposing that order.
I'm pretty sure, Arlen, that what's going to happen is nothing. He may end up being on a protective detail for, I don't know, a mop salesman in the Philippines. That may be what happens in his career, but I doubt very sincerely that anything bad is going to happen. You know, you and I both know that had either of us been on that protective service sniper team, that counter sniper team, the guy would have been dead just as soon as I saw him in an unauthorized place with a rifle. I pull the trigger. Done. Now, that's easy to say behind a microphone. It's a lot different when you're behind a rifle. But all I can tell you is that I doubt very sincerely anything bad is going to happen to that Secret Service guy. I would have shot sooner. And there was something about the testimony that sort of stuck out in my head. Arlen, thanks very much for the phone call. By the way, our telephone number 817-379-2172. What stuck out in that testimony was one of the representatives saying, had Trump died, you might be culpable. As you know, I brought this up several different times on this broadcast. I believe that the security musings of that particular day were designed not necessarily to protect Donald Trump, but to indeed protect Secret Service personnel, probably in upper management, from culpability. That very point. And it looks ugly, and it's going to get uglier. The question is, will the investigators actually investigate? If the investigators actually do investigate, will we see the results of their work, or will we see a sanitized version for the sake of what? For the sake of protecting the reputations of people without reputations any longer? That's the way I see it. How about you? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Something amazing in national politics happened. Kamala Harris was endorsed by Joe Biden, who stepped down from his re-election campaign, and all of a sudden she has all the delegates necessary to be the nominee. And she has all the governors of Democrat states. And she has the entire U.S. House Democrat caucus. Interesting, huh? You know what's more interesting? There's something else out there that I really would like to discuss, and I really am going to discuss it, as the Democrat Party seems to have settled on Kamala Harris as their standard bearer for the 2024 election. What does that mean for us? We'll discuss that too. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service, back with more in just a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. Kamala Harris is the Democrat nominee for the presidency in 2024, and it came together in less than a day. Everyone in the Democrat Party dutifully got in line. Questions not necessarily being asked right now, but I do have one. Okay, so what about the 14 million people who voted for Joe Biden? They just switched gears? Is that what happened? They just decided, well, okay, Kamala's the person, and so there you go. Well, okay, here's another question. Is a Democrat primary season even necessary? The party bosses figure out who's going to be who, and that's going to be that, and so on and so on. Now, there is a little bit of a precedent for this. When Lyndon Baines Johnson, proud Texan, decided to walk away from the 1968 election, he made it abundantly clear to the party that he expected Hubert Humphrey to be nominated for the presidency. Humphrey immediately lost in a landslide to Richard Nixon in 1968. Will that happen again here? Don't know. Don't have any idea. And so what we're doing is we're just watching this unfold, and here is how USA Today reports it. Vice President Kamala Harris has emerged as the Democrat Party's presidential frontrunner after Joe Biden dropped his re-election bid yesterday, or day before yesterday. Most Democrats backed Harris, who announced her 2024 campaign for president shortly after Biden penned a letter explaining his decision to exit the 2024 race, depending on who you ask. Harris is either viewed as a moderate or a progressive. A former prosecutor, Harris was elected San Francisco's district attorney with a tough-on-crime message in 2003, worked in that role for 7 years. She became the state's attorney general in 2011, served until 2017 when she was elected to represent California in the U.S. Senate. She launched her own successful presidential campaign at a rally in her hometown of Oakland, California in 2019. She dropped her bid for the White House and joined President Joe Biden's ticket in August the following year. In 2021, she was sworn in as vice president. There is a little bit of creative journalism there from a standpoint of bias. We'll point that out. Her bid for the White House ended before the first primary. When it comes to the presidential election season or the presidential election quest, Kamala Harris is yet to receive a single vote from anyone as a presidential candidate. But boy, did that change in a hurry. It sure did. So here are some of the things that USA Today says are her positions when it comes to the issues. Foreign policy. As Biden's second in command, Harris has largely stood behind his foreign policy positions. There are signs she could be tougher on Israel over the war in Gaza than the president. More about that coming up. Harris is not given reason to believe she will deviate much from Biden on issues relating to China. She's also unlikely to sway from supporting Ukraine. Harris said earlier this year that Russia has committed crimes against humanity in Ukraine over the last 2 years. Harris has not directly opposed Biden's staunch support for Israel, but has expressed sympathy for the more than 38,000 Palestinian lives lost during the conflict. She was one of the first high-profile members of the administration to call for an immediate temporary ceasefire in March. She acknowledged the immense scale of suffering in Gaza and said the Israel-Hamas war is, quote, a humanitarian catastrophe, unquote, for innocent civilians. All I can say about that is that Kamala Harris is a Palestinian sympathizer. She has made that abundantly clear in both news reports and public statements. Abortion. Harris's support for women's access to abortion has been a focal point of her tenure as the country's first female vice president. She embarked on a nationwide reproductive freedoms tour earlier this year to draw attention to attacks on abortion access following the Dobbs decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. She attended her first stop in Wisconsin, January 22nd, the 51st anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Harris has proposed federal protections that would limit state abortion restrictions during her first presidential campaign. Under her proposal, states would need to clear laws regulating abortion with the Department of Justice, which would need to confirm they are constitutional before taking effect. That's something she explained in 2019. The Department of Justice does not have that job. There is no way or need for the states to check out any of their laws with the Department of Justice. That's what the judiciary branch is for. And unfortunately, it appears as though that Kamala Harris missed that class in civics, both in high school and college. In the economy, with regards to the economy, Harris has traveled on an economic opportunity tour this summer to defend the Biden administration's economic policy and attack former President Donald Trump's economic agenda. While on tour, she touted legislation passed during Biden's time in office, including the American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act. Harris has tried to emphasize that wage increases have outpaced inflation since the pandemic and made the case that Trump has plans to give more tax cuts to the rich. Donald Trump gave tax cuts to billionaires, she said in a June social media post. President Joe Biden and I are investing in the middle class and making sure billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share. Climate. The vice president has made clear climate change is a key issue and Harris administration would seek to address. While running for president in 2019, she proposed a climate plan with $10 trillion in its price tag, nearly 7 times more than the $1.6 trillion Biden has invested in addressing the issue. She also called for a ban on fracking. As a senator, she co-sponsored the Green New Deal, which called for a dramatic increase in the production of renewable fuels, including wind, solar, and hydropower sources. The 10-year mobilization plan pushed for a transition to energy systems less reliant on generating greenhouse gases, which are the primary contributors to climate change. Education. Harris has been an advocate inside the Biden administration for pushing for the president to forgive student loan debt, which became a staple of his domestic policy agenda. As a senator, she co-sponsored Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders' legislation to make 2-year college free for all students and waive tuition for middle-class students attending 4-year public universities. At a Pride Month event last year, she criticized Florida's 2022 Don't Say Gay law, banning educators from discussing sexual orientation and gender identity in elementary and middle school classrooms. Shortly after she announced her presidential campaign, the American Federation of Teachers endorsed Harris. That is indeed what we have seen so far with regard to policies. There's also something else. This being reported by NBC News. After President Joe Biden announced he would end his re-election campaign, attention immediately turned to who will replace him on the ticket. He quickly endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to succeed him, prompting a cavalcade of prominent Democrats across the country to follow suit. The decision of who's the next Democrat nominee will ultimately rest with the state's party delegates at a national convention in Chicago next month. I don't expect there's going to be any change from the status quo ante that has been established since yesterday. But if Harris does unify the party behind her, she'll be in need of a running mate. She hasn't said anything publicly about who she would consider as a running mate, but there are some of the top Democrat names that have been floated as a potential Harris vice presidential contender. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. He's 46. He brings to the ticket all the political benefits of a Southern Democrat who has won convincingly in a conservative state on a pro-reproductive rights message, as well as a generational shift. Beshear entered the national conversation following his re-election victory in Kentucky in November, when he, won by 5 percentage points in a state that Biden had lost by 26 in 2020. His win was largely the product of the unique brand he built in ruby red Kentucky, effectively separating himself from the national party by focusing on state issues. Prominently, he touted the state's economic progress and his response to natural disasters, including devastating floods. At the same time, he leaned into health care and education, his most heavily supported his support for abortion rights. By the way, Kentucky is north of the Mason-Dixon line. He's not a Southern anything, just a small point of procedure there. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, he's 42, came seemingly out of nowhere. He rocketed to the top of the Democrat-crowded 2020 presidential field, wowing primary voters with his beyond his years intelligence, personal story, and rhetorical chops. Buttigieg, the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, beat out far more established rivals to win the Iowa caucuses, but struggled with voters of color and dropped him out of a race to endorse Biden, helping consolidate support around him. In the Biden administration, Buttigieg has been one of Biden's most visible and capable surrogates, often going on TV to speak on behalf of the administration, especially on transportation policies. Buttigieg is an openly gay Navy veteran, raising twins with his husband, Chasten, who has become a cultural figure in his own right on the left. Given his native Indiana's conservative lean, Buttigieg has been rumored to be considering higher office in other states, such as Michigan, where Chasten is from. Buttigieg said in a statement that Biden is, quote, among the best and most consequential presidents in American history, and then endorsed Harris. The next one is North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Cooper is 67. He would bring a Southern Democrat with a strong winning track record and political crossover appeal to the ticket. He won both his races for governors in the years that Donald Trump carried North Carolina at the presidential level. As governor, Cooper has been a champion of abortion rights in a state where Republicans enjoy close to a supermajority in the legislature. while he has vetoed several anti-abortion bills. Some of them have been overridden by that legislature, including a ban at about 12 weeks of pregnancy that went into effect in July of 2023. He's also focused heavily on expanding Medicaid. Last year, he signed a law after Republican lawmakers got on board and passed bills through both chambers. Joining us on the telephone is who? Who is this?
Hey, it's Gary, formerly of Fort Polk, Louisiana, but now I'm in downtown, beautiful Fort Worth, Texas.
It's great to have you here, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure that you take your time out to, let me jump on here and opine, as you say.
Would you please do so?
Yes. First off, hey, Wells, Ray, come on, call in. Let's hear your information. Let's support JD in this factual great news program. I mean that. Let me just, I'm going to circle back to this forever. I don't care if they run, Charlie Chan for president in that party. They're just going to be shills for number 44, who's obviously been calling all the shots, pushing all the radical agenda stuff that he just didn't have the guts to do when he was president. That's my take. It's going to be my take. So, this person is just going to be another person who reads the scripts, signs the executive orders, and does whatever they tell her to do. Now, with that being said, and that's not a lot, it's going to take a lot to change my mind about that. But, JD, with that being said, they had the perfect candidate for that party because he's a real Democrat, RFK Jr. Now, I don't agree with everything he said, but he's factual. He's, he has some good things to say. But somebody like that, he's not going to push their radical agenda. He's not going to, flat out said he's not going to weaponize Justice Department, federal justice departments and things like that. They're not going to be able to hand him scripts and say, "Go ahead, Robert, read them off and do a good job on it."
Yeah, he won't be.
That's why they shut him out.
Yeah,
that's why they denied him Secret Service protection up until a week ago. It's just sickening. You had the perfect candidate. Somebody who's making sense on a lot of issues. And like I said, I don't agree with anybody in everything, but still, I mean, there you go, and you blew it. You totally blew it.
Well, all I can say on that particular issue is that there are two Democrat parties. There is the progressive left that we have seen in play for the last 3.5 years. There are communists, if you will. There are also real Democrats. Joe Manchin.
Absolutely.
Joe Manchin, Tulsi Gabbard. I said on this broadcast that if the Democrat Party were to put Joe Manchin and Tulsi Gabbard on the ticket, that any Republican candidate choice would have a really tough time.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they do have RFK. RFK is damaged goods. There's no doubt about it. His vaccine stance and so on, pretty much cooked his goose. However, he does hearken back to a day when the Democrat Party was inspirational instead of degradational in a way that his uncle made famous by bringing the entire country together. It didn't make any difference what political party you were in. John Kennedy was pro-American. He was pro-freedom, liberty. He was somebody who absolutely knew at the time of his election until his assassination exactly where this country needed to go. And
absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and struck down by an assassin's bullet. It was a real tragedy. And RFK Jr. is the closest that the Democrat Party has.
Absolutely, and you know what? Just if I could just segue a little bit on what you were just saying.
You got 30 seconds.
Okay, I will vote for the next person who is not a communist, who says, "Hey, I don't care what they did. This is what we're doing for the American people. This is what needs to be done. Let's have at it. Stop all this mudslinging and party on party nonsense." How's that?
I think that's wonderful. Good timing. Perfect. Gary joining us from Fort Worth, Texas, after his just sudden relocation from Fort Polk, Louisiana. It's good to have you here, Gary. The Democrat Party is moving forward, and it's almost in lockstep. And I'll explain more about that as we continue on this edition of the Wells Report. Back with more in just a moment.
Vallarta.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to Low Cost Airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Talking about Kamala Harris as the new Democrat Party standard bearer, apparently. There is a small, I guess, formality now of a Democrat National Convention. And we don't know exactly where that's going to go, but we have a pretty good guess. Who will be the running mate for the Democrat nominee, Kamala Harris? Mark Kelly of Arizona. He's a Democrat. He won statewide twice in Arizona, a historically red state, now ultra-competitive. He won a special election to the Senate in 2022 when control of Congress was decided by wafer-thin margins. He won again in 2022, defying GOP expectations of the famous red wave, this during a Democrat president's midterm election. He is a former astronaut with a reputation for pragmatism. His political talents have been noticed. In the Senate, he's leaned in on local issues like water conservation and microchip manufacturing. He's the husband of former Representative Gabby Giffords, the Democrat from Arizona who was shot in 2011 and has gone on an inspiring journey that includes becoming a prominent gun safety advocate. Republican operatives have privately lamented that Kelly is Teflon with voters. Retired Admiral William McRaven. Allies of Harris are already vetting retired Admiral William McRaven, a source telling NBC News. The 68-year-old retired four-star admiral is well known for organizing and overseeing the special operation that killed Osama bin Laden as the head of the Joint Special Operations Command in 2011. He later spent 4 years as chancellor of the University of Texas System before retiring in 2018. In the years since, he has often emerged as a vocal critic of Donald Trump, especially on national security issues. Trump went after McRaven in 2018, saying he should have caught bin Laden sooner. Maryland Governor Wes Moore, a 45-year-old combat veteran and Rhodes Scholar, has been a political newcomer before his bid for governor. But his 32 percentage point win, which made him just the third elected black governor ever, as well as his personal story. His father died when he was a child, prompting moves and instability, and his youth helped quickly make him a rising star in the Democrat Party. His name has been floated as a potential contender in 2028. Not impossible that Democrats see Moore's personal story and electoral success as too good to pass up in the current moment. California Governor Gavin Newsom, he's 56, has a long history with Harris, going back to their days coming up in San Francisco politics. Only 3 years apart in age, they've shared several key advisors and donors over the years, have parallel career arcs, an experience that has made them allies, at times rivals, with Newsom seen as somewhat to Harris's left politically. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, we were talking about old line liberal Democrats. He's 59, was an active Biden campaign surrogate, traveling to battleground states to Trump for Biden. He founded a nonprofit committee, Think Big America, to advocate for abortion rights and to combat extremism with a focus on battleground states. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, he's 51. He brings to the table a substantial record of outperforming other Democrats in the most pivotal of swing states, Pennsylvania. He ran ahead of 2016 Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton when he ran for Attorney General and outperformed Biden when he won in a landslide in his 2022 race for governor. He was first elevated to the national scene as state attorney general for the high-profile investigation into sexual abuse in the Catholic Church, and fighting to defend his state's election after the 2020 vote as former President Donald Trump battled to overturn it. Now he's dealing with perhaps the most important moment of his political career as he handles the fallout from the attempted assassination of Trump, which took place in his state. He enjoyed a relatively high level of support from Republicans in this 2022 run compared to other Democrats, maintains decent approval ratings across the aisle. Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, before he entered national politics. Warnock, 54, had been the pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, enjoying the influence and historic importance of speaking from the pulpit of the Church of Martin Luther King Jr., one of the most storied in America. Since then, he has been repeatedly put into the electoral test in a key battleground state. Warnock has been on the ballot 5 times since 2020. 1 Democrat primary, 2 general elections, and 2 runoffs. He has finished first every time. He was the first black person elected senator from Georgia. His elevation to the national ticket would most likely energize black voters across the U.S., whose polls show they have been flocking away from Biden. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, a 60-year-old 2-term governor of Minnesota, could help the Democrat ticket shore up support in the upper Midwest, where the electoral votes from the so-called blue wall of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan will be critical in deciding the 2024 election. Having Walz on the ticket could help draw progressive voters back into the fold. Walz has utilized his time as the state's top official to advance a litany of progressive policies, including protecting abortion rights, legalizing recreational marijuana, restricting gun access, a record that would likely burnish the leftist credentials of the ticket. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is 52. She would offer the ticket a Midwest governor who was reelected to a second term by a healthy margin after she emerged as a Trump foil. She was on stage at an event in Detroit in 2020 when Biden presented himself as a bridge to Whitmer and other younger leaders. He eventually cracked the short list for vice president. That's Gretchen Whitmer, she. And so those are the front runners in the various ruminations of who might be Kamala Harris's running mate. I don't expect that any of the governors will actually take the job. Admiral McRaven, that's a possibility, but I'm not exactly sure that that's going to be anything that will help a Republican Party that's already looking at deep state problems, and decidedly, sadly, Admiral McRaven was one of those deep state actors, at least in the opinion of this humble reporter. This is the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. You can join us on the chat room as well. We would love to have your thoughts about this broadcast and what's on it here on the Wells Report. We return with hour number 2 next.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We depropagandize the mainstream media. We also make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, yours and mine. Let's get together. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Fox News is reporting that the father of Thomas Matthew Crooks, the shooter that attempted to assassinate President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, was caught outside of a grocery store. There is video. Let's bring that to you as we continue here on the Wells Report. Okay, that was good. All right, so what we have now is we have a commercial. I tested this out a couple of times and unfortunately didn't see anything about that. Let's get to that report now here on the Wells Report. Check this out.
Why would your son want to kill the president? Back off. No comment. No comment.
Were there any warning signs, Matthew?
No comment. How's Mary holding up? No comment.
We'll release a statement when our legal counsel advises us to do so. Until then, we have no comment. We just want to try to take care of ourselves right now. So please, give us our space.
Have the feds released the body to you yet?
All right, so that was on Fox News Digital, and that just happened. And so obviously there will be more information to indeed continue with just exactly what's been going on. Kamala Harris is the Democrat standard bearer. Before we get to the latest information on that, let's spend a little bit of time on the chat room. When discussing, say, for example, Kamala Harris's viewpoint that the Israel-Hamas war was indeed a catastrophic catastrophe for humanity, Gary says every war is catastrophic to humanity. It's true. Max says, gotta love it when politicians say we're working for the American people. They're working for specific Americans and those non-Americans. Democrats have been working for those student debt. They're working for the immigrants who didn't earn anything as a taxpayer. I do not appreciate my tax dollars going to stuff that congressional electees spend on pet projects. And yes, I have voted in previous elections. You've also defended this nation. We owe a lot to you, Max Guadiano. We do. So the Democrats are in a position where they do indeed have Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. In our little rendition of just exactly where she stands on various issues, Israel came up, and Kamala Harris seems to be a little less Israel-centric than even Joe Biden. And this was made plain when Ms. Harris has decided to skip Netanyahu's address to Congress, while top Democrat senators boycott the speech altogether. This is what Fox News reports. Vice President Kamala Harris declined to preside over a Wednesday joint address to Congress tomorrow night by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu because she will be in Indiana for an event that was previously scheduled, this according to an aide. Harris, who on Monday became the presumptive Democrat nominee for president following President Biden's campaign suspension, will not be in attendance at the address, will not preside. With Harris's absence, the task ordinarily would fall to the Senate President pro tem, Patty Murray, but Murray refused to see the speech and instead will be boycotting the address. Efforts have been made to reach Murray's office for comment. Fox News has been unsuccessful. While Harris's office was asked if she would have agreed to preside over Netanyahu's address if she was going to be in Washington, an aide to the vice president said they would not answer hypothetical questions. That will stand on its own, I'm sure. Vice President Harris did make a speech after she found out that she was indeed endorsed by Joe Biden, and slightly before she found out that she had the entire Democrat Party behind her, at least most of it. And this is what she had to say in that speech. Let's take a look here on the Wells Report for Tuesday morning.
You know, before I was elected as vice president, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. During the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big Wall Street banks and won $20 billion for California families, holding those banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of 34 counts of fraud. But make no mistake, all of that being said, this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. There is more to this campaign than that. Building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because we here know when our middle class is strong, America is strong. And we know that's not the future Donald Trump is fighting for.
The only thing that I can say about that is, okay, the middle class, well, the economic policies of Joe Biden provided an amazing inflationary spiral that has yet to be curtailed in any way, shape, or form. In fact, when you put $1.9 trillion into the economy, and then you start working to curtail American energy production, that is a double whammy. What ends up happening is that fuel costs much, much more. It's not just what you do when you go down and fill up your car. I spent $100 on a tank of gas yesterday. $100. It's also when you go to the grocery store. Why are food prices so much higher? Well, because that food, those products need to get to a store somehow. And indeed, when those products show up at the store, they are being carried by diesel trucks that are spending, those drivers are spending twice as much as they ever have. And those costs are passed along to the middle class. When Kamala Harris talks about how she's planning on getting the rich to step up and pay their fair share, as she says, what she doesn't point out is that those people are the people that fund the middle class. In other words, their dreams, the rich's dreams, the rich's ideas, Elon Musk, a prime example, those dreams put American people to work in the hundreds of thousands. And when you start thinking about all these policies, you look at a middle class that is spending more money on just about everything based on two decisions made by President Biden and Ms. Harris. After I noted earlier today that she missed civics class when she said that indeed under her administrations, the states would have to float some of the laws they pass in front of the DOJ. It's not their job. The DOJ is theoretically empowered to enforce the law. Whether they do that or not, I'll leave to your imagination. The Supreme Court of the United States does that. Also, when it comes to economics, it's either dishonest or it's incompetent. The dishonesty comes from, I'm very sure, since it's been done twice now, both during the Obama administration and indeed during the Biden administration, pressure on fuel prices increases the price of everything. Tax revenue thus increases because people are paying more money, and as a percentage of all those products is the way the government collects its funding. Then you find yourself in a position where the middle class is indeed experiencing a huge tax increase. It's not called taxes, just high prices. Greedy corporations. Okay. I disagree because I actually spent a little bit of time studying economics. It's true. But I don't think that Kamala Harris did, or if she did, she's studying a different kind of economics. And that economics revolves around the idea that the only people in any country, but certainly the United States, with the money to float a gigantic government is the middle class. And so the idea is to disguise tax increases as greedy corporations. And there's really very little to hide behind when it comes to that kind of thing. I coalesce these thoughts because I've been watching this for a very, very long time. And indeed, we saw a different way of going about economics, a different way. Now, there are troubles with, say, for example, igniting the American economy like Donald Trump did, because once again, when you reduce gas prices to $1.87, suddenly Americans aren't spending $100 on gas. They're spending less than that, less than half of it, in fact. Well, where do all those extra funds go? Well, they arrive in the marketplace. And the market effect, which is if there's available money, the market will expand to collect it, will indeed create essentially the same kind of thing. It's just that the middle class has more available dollars to make their choices. So when you look at all this and you say, okay, well, where exactly is this going? Well, this is big time leftist economic policy, and it is not what it's being touted to be. Kamala Harris in that speech, when she's talking about going against fraudsters and sexual predators and so on, well, she has a smug look on her face that looks really bad. There are a couple of things she's going to have to work on just from a presentation standpoint. Her laugh has to go. That's thing number one. Thing number two, she can't appear smug under any circumstances, at least in my view. It seems to me that if she's serious about winning, and I've said similar things about Donald Trump, not that he was smug, but Donald Trump is undisciplined when it comes to his presidential communications. Kamala Harris is someone who cannot appear to be haughty and smug and all of that. It will be her demise among the American voter. And there are other rubrics that we'll get to in another day. But she does have the Democrat Party. She does have all the governors. She has everybody in the House of Representatives, and she has the mainstream media. What am I talking about? Well, I will show you coming up in just a couple of minutes. Our telephone number, 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. This is the Wells Report, and regardless of what you might think, it's a nonpartisan broadcast. If you have something to say, by all means, say it. 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. Love to have you. You can also, by the way, help us out by supporting this broadcast. Please do so. Tell your friends about it. Subscribe to it. Ask your friends to subscribe. Hit the notification button and give us thumbs ups. All of those things help us immeasurably on all the platforms that we broadcast on, which are many. And we would like you to do that post-haste. We'll have more of the Wells Report coming up in just a couple of moments for this Tuesday, the 23rd day of July, year of our Lord, 2024.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to Low Cost Airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number 817-379-2172. The first speech from Vice President Kamala Harris as the presidential nominee, or the nominal presidential nominee for the Democrat Party, happened yesterday. Some members of the media hailed the speech that left them with, quote, chills, blown away, and arguing who jumped out of their seat higher. This, by the way, is from Fox News. It is a biased news article. And so let's take a look at just exactly what some in the mainstream media had to say about Kamala Harris as the Democrat nominee for the 2024 election.
David, you pointed out while she was speaking, the branding, it's Kamala, like Hillary. I mean, she doesn't have a VP pick yet. But what struck me most was that is fighting Kamala Harris. She is coming out guns blazing.
Bear with me. I'm jumping out of my seat over here watching this. I think people have been thirsting for this.
And I'll just say this, and I'm with Tim. I'm jumping out my seat higher than you, my brother. I'm just going to say that.
There was a twinkle in her eye. There was a kick in her step that, when you're vice president, you're not loose. You can't, there's somebody above you. There's somebody, you don't want to overshadow them. And this was quite the coming out. And I got chills when she said, Donald Trump, I know your type. I was blown away. I was like, I kind of fell in love with her. I thought she was smart, engaging. She's funny, feisty, twinkle in your eye, punch you in the gut. I mean, everything you kind of want. I just thought it was a great, great opening act.
She looked completely comfortable tonight with the words she was speaking. They felt organic and genuine. I think every Democrat should be heartened by that speech. I think that if I'm the Trump campaign, I think the message is very clear. The game is on here, and it's not going to be easy.
All right, so that's what they're saying about Kamala Harris. And what do you think? 817-379-2172. Hi, who's this? Thanks for joining us on the Wells Report. Hello? Are you there? Hello? All right, let me see what I got here. If that's you calling on the telephone, by all means, call again, please, because, when there's media going on, I can't talk to you when I answer the phone. So by all means, give me a buzz when you can. 817-379-2172. So Harris became the presumptive Democrat presidential candidate on Sunday after President Biden announced via X he would be dropping out of the race and endorsing her. Yesterday, she gave her first campaign speech at what will now be her election headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware. She spoke about her relationship with the president, called into headquarters and publicly spoke, focused on attacking former President Trump. She did something very, very smart. She did something that Joe Biden really never did. She said this is going to be a campaign that's about more than Donald Trump. Well, let's hope so. And all these people in the media that are sitting around talking about how feisty she is and how funny she is and twinkle in her eye and gut punch and all that. What about where she stands on the issues? What about that? Isn't that exactly what's supposed to happen when you're a journalist? Aren't you supposed to say, hey, wait a minute, but where does she stand on all these things? Twinkle in the eye really doesn't matter much when the policies are bad, if you believe they're bad. Don't know that you do, but it's a possibility. And so I'm waiting for some real politics to get started. And once again, it looks to me like the mainstream media has not learned their lesson when it comes to just exactly what they're talking about with regards to Kamala Harris and indeed covering an American presidential candidate. It seems they only do their job as journalists when they're reporting on Donald Trump, and even then, it's negatively biased to the point that it's embarrassing. What are your thoughts? 817-379-2172. As I said, I can't talk to you when the media is playing, so wait until after this break and give me a buzz, and I will be more than happy to put your opinion on the broadcast, whether it agrees with mine or not. 817-379-2172. Back with more in just a moment here on the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. The Justice Department has some explaining to do, and that explanation may be before U.S. District Judge Dabney Friedrich. Let me explain what's going on. Fox News is reporting the Justice Department revealed last night in a court filing, or yesterday in a court filing, it does indeed have transcripts of President Biden's interviews with a biographer after initially having denied possessing the documents. While juggling Freedom of Information Act requests related to the former special counsel Robert Hur's investigation into Biden's handling of classified documents following his departure as vice president in the Obama administration, DOJ attorneys said it would be time-consuming to process audio files into transcripts relating to the president's conversation with biographer Mike Zwanitzer. There is a transcript of this broadcast that is generated every day, not by people at the DOJ, at least I hope not. Oh, God. Anyway, did I say that out loud? Oops. There are transcripts of this broadcast that are generated by computers. Yeah, there are some mistakes, small ones, that you have to go back over. It's not time consuming. It's not time consuming at all. They were stalling. Quote, "We don't have some transcript that has been created by the special counsel that we can attest to its accuracy," said DOJ lawyer Cameron Silverberg, speaking before U.S. District Judge Dabney Frederick. That changed yesterday evening when Silverberg told Frederick in a new court filing that her office did in fact have transcripts of some of Biden's conversations with Zwanitzer. The biographer worked with Biden in 2007 and 2017 to compile his memoirs, according to Politico. Quote, "In the past few days, in the course of processing the portions of the Biden-Zwanitzer audio recordings that the parties agreed to," see the June 25th, 2024 Joint Status Report at 2-3 ECF number 20, the department located 6 electronic files consisting of a total of 117 pages that appeared to be verbatim transcripts of a small subset of the Biden-Zwanitzer audio recordings created for the SCO by a court reporting service. Okay, so the court reporting service did the transcripts. Whose time was the DOJ wasting? Their own? No. The specific FOIA request related to the Biden-Zwanitzer transcripts was filed by the Heritage Foundation. The court filing yesterday evening also revealed that while fielding the various FOIA requests related to the bombshell Her report, DOJ officials contacted an unnamed person with knowledge of the transcripts, but the individual was unable to weigh in. After resisting reaching out to her directly for the information pertaining to what documents he relied on for his final report, the DOJ did indeed reach out to her. Her confirmed the Biden-Zwanitzer transcripts and said he relied on the documents as well as a note handwritten by Biden related to Afghanistan for his final report. Her's report on Biden's handling of classified materials after his 8 years as vice president was released in February and stated Her would not recommend criminal charges against Biden for possessing classified materials after his vice presidency, calling Biden, quote, "a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory." They went on to say, based on our direct interactions and observations of him, he is someone from whom many jurors would want to identify reasonable doubt. It would be difficult to convince a jury that they could convict him, by then a former president well into his 80s, of a serious felony that requires a mental state of willfulness. And of course, immediately everybody said, well, wait a minute, doesn't the presidency require a mental state of willfulness? The answer, of course, is yes. But what we have here is we have, again, smoking gun evidence only after President Biden decided to stop his reelection campaign, issued by the DOJ. While the DOJ has a lot of cleanup to do, and this perhaps may mark a small particle of that cleanup, a very small particle, the fact that they lied to a federal district judge is going to have repercussions, or at least would have repercussions if Joe Biden had been a Republican. That, unfortunately, is not the case. And so this is something that belies another problem. It belies lies. Lies from the presumptive frontrunner for the Democrat presidential nomination. Lies from the mainstream media. Lies from the DOJ. Lies from the White House. All surrounding President Biden and his mental state. How are they going to explain that? The media will do everything they possibly can just to move on. Oh my God, that speech from Kamala gave me chills. But I don't think it's going to be quite that simple. I don't. The DOJ is not a Department of Justice. The DOJ is rather a Department of Justice as a political weapon. And that is a problem. The mainstream media, immolating itself along with the tatters of Democrat credibility, has decided how they're going to give us this story between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. At least these are the first few days. Let's take a look at this USA Today article. One candidate spent much of her career putting criminals behind bars. The other has been convicted of 34 felonies. That's the first paragraph. Bias much? Kamala Harris' elevation to the top of the Democrat ticket against Republican Donald Trump sets the stage for a presidential contest unlike any other in American history, in a campaign season already filled with unexpected twists and turns. The race to become the most powerful leader in the world is coming down to this: the former prosecutor versus the convicted felon. You saw Kamala Harris saying, "I know Donald Trump's type." Yeah, okay. Democrats who worried that questions about Biden's advanced age and mental acuity would cause him to lose to Trump sense that if Harris becomes their nominee, they will have a chance to shift the focus back to Trump and his complicated tangle of legal problems. That complicated tangle was concocted. It was concocted by the left through the DOJ, which has no problem lying before federal courts, the FISA court, and now a federal district court. This is a problem. And this is a problem that has to do with credibility. Just exactly how do you square a party that has accused Donald Trump of lying 3 or 4 times a day, documented lies 3 or 4 times a day during his entire presidency? How do they do that with fulsome lies, if there are such a thing, actual lies to people's faces in court? How are they going to bring this around? How are they going to deal with it? I suspect the mainstream media will deal with it by not dealing with it, continuing their long-standing idea that the best thing to do is to cover for a Democrat president, or in this case, a Democrat presidential nominee, instead of covering them. As I've said time and time again on this broadcast, the science of propaganda is not what you add to a news story. It's what you leave out. That's what successful propagandists have done in the entire course of human event or events. USA Today is jumping right into it. And by the way, in case you're wondering, now wait just a darn minute, John David, is this an opinion piece? No. No, this is under the banner elections. This is supposed to be journalism. It's not journalism. But when it comes right down to it, what journalism is left? I know it's tiresome. There's journalism here. But what journalism is left? Just exactly what is the DOJ? It's certainly not a Department of Justice. Maybe the DOPJ, the Department of Political Justice, which takes us back to the tangled legal problems. The tangled legal problems. The New York case that celebrates the fact that Donald Trump is a convicted felon 34 times is going to be overturned on appeal by New York. It's not going to be overturned on appeal to a federal court. It'll never get that far. The Georgia case, gone. Nobody's heard a word about it for months. And the classified documents case against Donald Trump, which was arrogantly put forward by Merrick Garland and Jack Smith, got tossed out of court the other day. Well, John David, that's a Trump appointee. She's biased. Uh-huh. Right. As if the left doesn't depend on judicial bias to legislate things they can't get through the American legislature. It all comes down to hypocrisy. And before you say, boy, you know, he just said that this was a nonpartisan broadcast, here he is crapping all over the Democrat Party. No, I'm actually reporting on the Democrat Party and what they do. And no, I don't believe that the Republicans are going to do anything about it. There's another story here. Didn't make the cut about the special commission that's going to be formed by Speaker Mike Johnson to get to the bottom of the Trump assassination attempt. It'll be bipartisan. We're going to put together this commission, and they're going to determine just exactly what happened. And then what's going to happen after that? The answer is nothing. Nothing is going to happen after that. Nothing. Because they're Republicans. And when you have all of this unwillingness to follow the story as long as a Democrat presidential candidate is concerned, where do you find the news? I'll do my best. But let's put it this way. The Wells Report is a very, very good news broadcast. But it's not ABC, CBS, CNN, NBC, MSNBC. I simply don't have that big a footprint. I wish I did. I sincerely do. Because indeed, what this nation needs, especially now, are truth tellers that are willing to expand their news coverage to cover all sides. The side of this particular story deals with dishonesty on the part of the American left, including the mainstream media. But make no mistake, there's dishonesty in journalism from the American right. It's not exciting. It's not as thrilling as bombast, where people say stupid things for political effect. Like, for example, I believe that entire assassination thing was faked. Yeah, there was nobody actually shooting. And obviously, Corey Comparator was not actually shot in the head and killed instantly. Those are people actually making statements. And it's unbelievably bad. It's unbelievably bad. But that's what's replacing the need for fact. You have to have fact. You cannot make this decision, regardless of your political party, without a clear-eyed, objective examination of the facts. And yeah, bombast is more fun. A lot of people wonder why The View is still on the air. The View is on the air because they say horrifically stupid things. It's like a train crash. You just can't turn away. It's epically dumb. And it's epically destructive. Now, I've been criticized in the past by various radio managers who cringe at my idea of calling this a broadcast, because it is, in the classic sense, a broadcast. You report broad details and facts, regardless of politics. And there have been people that say, go ahead, John David, just go out and try to be Edward R. Murrow. Strangely enough, I was listening to Edward R. Murrow's last public speech the other day, and there are resonances. I do this because someone must. I do this because the mainstream media won't. I report on lies from the DOJ because it is not the Department of Political Justice. Although it certainly has made itself into exactly that, as the left has worked to consolidate political power through any means necessary, up to and including throwing away 14 million Democratic votes for Joe Biden, and essentially handing the entire keys to the Democrat kingdom to Kamala Harris, who has never, ever won a primary election for president. She's never gotten a vote. And she is going to be the next leader of the free world, huh? This is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for being with us. Back with more coming up in just a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to Low Cost Airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our chat room flying along today. Mugwump says, these are not journalists. These are TV talking heads. Is there a difference? Interesting tidbit. Trump donated to Harris's campaign to become California's Attorney General in 2011 and 2013. Campaign finance records show. That is an interesting tidbit, actually. Let's see. No doubt the corrupt DOJ, says Gary. Mugwump says, quote, this is not a partisan broadcast. Too funny. Your track record at KSKY, K-Sky, KBDT, your Twitter feed, and this broadcast say otherwise. Since you've obviously done some homework, Mug, all I want to say is this. Go back to any of my broadcasts and see if indeed you find anything not tracing to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence. This is an American broadcast. If I am partisan in any way, it's because I'm an American. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a conservative because the Constitution of the United States is a limiting document, not an empowering document. Limitations of government being conservative and expansions of government being liberal. Nothing I've said on this broadcast has touted the Republican Party, and it never will. It touts the American experience. That's all there is. In fact, by the way, you brought up KSKY, K-Sky. Yeah, I was criticized by most of my colleagues, Dennis Prager not being one of them, Mark Davis not being one of them, But I was criticized because I wasn't playing ball with the Republican Party. It's probably why I don't work there anymore. All I can tell you is that there's enough talking head political BS, to use Nancy Mace's word from yesterday, and I'm not going to contribute to it. This is about America, Jack. This isn't about Republican politics. So you can have your opinion. You can say anything you want to. That's perfectly fine with me. But what you need to understand is that if you honestly believe this is a partisan broadcast, you're missing the point. Truth tellers aren't being corralled by their bosses so they can tell us everything. True. Although when I did work for Case Guy, I worked for a boss who, when we first got together, I said, who's the program director? And he goes, we don't have one. You report to me. And besides, I'm not so sure that you work well with program directors. Well, because I have a definite idea of what this broadcast is supposed to be, which is not to say that I'm not a team player. I am. But unlike so many others in the news business, I'm not going to compromise truth for the sake of politics. No, I won't. Let's see. I will be most interested to see what transpires at the DNC convention. I expect the DNC convention to try to channel the energy in the room of the RNC convention. We don't know whether that was organic or whether that was something that was just cobbled up, right? We don't have any idea whether that was just genuine enthusiasm or whether or not it was an act. All I can say is there seemed to be an awful lot of happy people. And the RNC was such a great convention that even Democrats talked about how great the convention was, warning their own political operatives that that was something that they were going to have to take a look at. And speaking of the Republican National Convention, back in 2016, Donald Trump made a concession about the Republican National Convention. The delegates and audience were not racially diverse enough, according to President Trump. This was in 2016. The truth is, I don't like it during a television conversation with Bishop Wayne T. Jackson. With that being said, I don't like the job that Democrats have been doing representing African Americans. So how did the 2024 convention in Milwaukee stack up? This is USA Today. Only 1,700 of the 2,429 RNC delegates, that's 1,780 of 2,429 delegates, reported their ethnicity according to convention officials. Of that number, 55 delegates said they were black, representing 3% of those who provided demographic information. That number, while still very small, is up from 2016, where only 18 delegates reported they were black. And so, another group of people that we spend a lot of time talking about on this broadcast, the dividers, are dividing yet again. Marco Rubio. And for the sake of liberal people that care more about skin color than actual humanity, he said that we are not defined by the color of our skin. You know what? That's a pretty colorblind statement to me. And oh, by the way, just as a guy who, and by the way, I'm not white. I'm more peach colored. Don't you think? I'm kind of peach colored. Anyway, that being said, all I can say is that who cares what color you are? What difference does it actually make? The answer is nothing. But if you are convinced that you're put upon based on the color of your skin, you know, you might just want to reevaluate. Because there's an awful lot of that going around. And it should stop immediately and forthwith. And the RNC did all but accomplish it. Just my view. It's the divisions that hurt this country more than anything else. This has been the Wells Report. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back with more tomorrow on this very same broadcast. See you then.